Hello YouTube, my name's Nero and today we have some Call of Duty Black Ops 3 news. We have a lot of things to go over in today's video. We have 5 brand new Snapchats, a ton of new tweets, lots of awesome information coming out via social media with this crazy marketing campaign that Treyarch is implementing. First and foremost, let's talk about the Unmarked Man. So if you guys want to aware who this is, no one really knows who he is, so I guess you're in good company because this is an account that's actually followed by the official Treyarch Twitter page. Alright, so you guys follow them at Treyarch, you'll see if they are following this person, and so because that a lot of people saw that, they're like, oh, we need to follow this guy, and this guy is tweeting hints about Call of Duty Black Ops 3. He has 6 tweets out. Now, the last time I talked about him in a video, we actually only had 2 tweets from him saying the incident changed everything. Keep in mind, incident is capitalized. And then we have listen to the sound of my voice, which is obviously a reference to the very first Snapchat that was actually sent out where Dr. Salim says, listen to the sound of my voice. Since then, 4 brand new tweets have actually been coming out. We have the metal towers blooming like weeds, popping between slabs of sidewalk. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. Are you saying a bunch of buildings are popping up almost? Like, are a bunch of skyscrapers popping up all over the place? Something like that? Is that what he means? I really don't know. Next tweet. I see some of you like to play. Well then, let's play. Next tweet. Louder until it's everything. Then nothing. That makes no sense. Like I'm talking about Jaden Smith. I think Jaden Smith is the Unmarked Man, but going on. The dry run is over. I don't know what that means. I don't know what any of that means. He's speaking in riddles. This entire marketing campaign is speaking in riddles. Speaking of speaking in riddles, let's go over and check out David Vonderhaar, good old Vondi himself. So, back on April 9th, he tweeted this, which is actually pinned as the top tweet on his Twitter account. So if you go to his Twitter account, it's going to be at the very top of the page for you. It says, how far are we willing to go? Blackout. See you soon? And of course, they're actually crossing out some of this. They're crossing out how far are we willing to go. We're crossing out soon. So it basically says blackout, see you. Now, this is obviously a reference to what they did in Black Ops and Black Ops 2's campaign. You know, when you would start up a mission, it would say like the full mission debriefing, right? You'd be able to see everything for the mission. Then it would cross out a bunch of it, and it would say like Mason, April 1964, or something like that, something along those lines, right? Whereas before, you'd be able to see everything with it. It's kind of doing the exact same thing. And earlier today, he actually tweeted out a new tweet, please end this blackout, then going ahead and crossing out please as well as blackout, so it now just says end this. So the first one is blackout, see you, and then it just says end this, right? So it's very confusing what these mean. Obviously, we're speaking in riddles here. I don't understand, what is this blackout? Why is blackout capitalized? Because if it's a blackout, like, you know, a blackout, there's no need for it to be capitalized. But then again, there's really no need for end to be capitalized either. So they're definitely speaking in riddles here, Bondi. What do you mean in here? I'm not entirely positive. Next, let's go up here and check out these Snapchats. We have 5 brand new ones to show you guys here in this video, so let's go ahead and play the first one.
Day 42. Only 4 of the original test subjects survive. Of the others, most died of coronary failure.
Day 42. Most of the test subjects have died, most of them dying from coronary failures. That's basically like heart failure. For those of you guys who know what coronary means, that's pretty interesting. All the people they've been experimenting on, because obviously they're experimenting, doing whatever it is they're doing on a lot of people, right? A lot of them have died, mostly from heart failure, which is definitely a problem if they're all dying from the same exact thing. I think there's a problem with their methods here. Let's listen to the next one.
1 died later from self-inflicted.
Alright, now that one was really kind of hard to hear, right? Lots of stuff going on. You hear screaming in the background. You hear the heart pounding and stuff like that. What is happening in the background there? If you listen to it back again, I believe it says 1 died later from self-inflicted wounds. Now, that actually makes a whole lot of sense. And actually, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to play the last 2 Snapchats together for you and then put text on the screen during the second one so you can kind of hear it. It really does sound like he's saying 1 died later from self-inflicted wounds.
Day 42. Only 4 of the original test subjects survive. Of the others, most died of coronary failure. 1 died later from self-inflicted.
Alright, so it looks like a lot of people are dying. One of them didn't die. He ended up killing himself, which is pretty nuts. Now let's go ahead and listen to this next one.
It's clear that the majority of patients exhibit signs of mild to severe psychosis immediately following each procedure.
Immediately following each procedure, they're experiencing mild to severe psychosis. What is psychosis, if you guys don't know? It's basically when people have trouble distinguishing things in their head from actual reality. That's the problem that these guys are having, is no matter what, after these procedures end up happening, apparently, a lot of people are experiencing a lot of psychosis where they can't really tell what's real. They don't know what's real and what's fake, and they're having a real hard time. And a lot of them are also having heart problems, apparently, as well. Let's go ahead and listen to the next one, the fourth of 5.
Though I am reluctant to resort to the use of physical restraints, I may be forced to do just that.
Sounds like Dr. Salim here is actually reluctant to want to use physical restraints, but he may need to. Perhaps the patient is being very wily, or the patient's trying to get off the table, which is interesting to me, though. It means all these operations and stuff, no one's being restrained at all. It's definitely interesting. We're going to talk about that after we listen to the 5th and final Snapchat of this video.
Cognitive isn't just science fiction. It will allow us to remove specific memories of severe psychological trauma.
Alright, now that's pretty interesting. So, I don't know about you guys, I've listened to this about a dozen times now. I have no idea what he says after the word cognitive. I have no idea. It's cognitive, blah, 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 isn't just science fiction. It will allow us to remove specific memories from severe psychological trauma. Now, I would like to say, after hearing these Snapchats, I'll play them all in a row for you here towards the end of the video, like we usually do here whenever I cover some Black Ops 3 news and I try to talk about these Snapchats. I feel as though we kind of had it wrong. I'm wondering if they're not actually creating super soldiers right now. If you watch this week's episode of Dear Nero, which of course went up earlier today, a subscriber sent in a really good theory to the show, and in that theory he said Dr. Salem was perhaps a Nazi scientist in World War II, and then of course they found all his stuff, they found all of his research after World War II ended up ending, and they decided nobody was going to be able to use any of this Nazi science because it would be just unethical, because they were horrible experiments performed on people and whatnot. And then later on, like in the year 2030-ish, some countries start using some of his research and they start putting together super soldiers, and the United States also does the same thing to kind of counter it, and then bam, we got super soldiers, that kind of idea. And that was a pretty good theory. But as we look at this, as we look at these new Snapchats that have been released over the course of yesterday and today, it really sounds like this Dr. Salem's not performing any Nazi experiments whatsoever. He, one, doesn't sound German, in my own personal opinion. If I had to try and give him, and this is probably terrible because if you ever watch Dear Nero, I am awful when it comes to accents, I'm awful when it comes to pronouncing people's names, but if I had to take a guess, I'd say he has more of an Indian accent than anything. Like, not Native American Indian, but like Indian. I think he has more of an Indian accent than anything. That's my own personal hearing on that. Maybe you guys disagree. If you disagree with that, please let me know in the comment section below if you have an idea of where this Dr. Salem may be from. But what it sounds like in these Snapchats is, it sounds like they're actually trying to do an experiment, and perhaps all these people are actually volunteers. They're actually trying to do an experiment to be able to remove memories, bad memories, specifically traumatic memories, from severe psychological trauma. So it sounds like this could be a military thing. It definitely lines up with stuff that we saw in prior Snapchats, where we see flashbacks of Vietnam, we see flashbacks of soldiers and things like that. So it's definitely possible that these are actually Vietnam veterans, which definitely lines up with the original Black Ops, and they're actually having a ton of severe psychological trauma that they're actually trying to basically cut out, or at least operate on them to try to get these bad memories out. That's what it really kind of sounds like, and it actually makes a whole lot of sense if you look at the Snapchats, right, and you look at the pictures of people, right, you see the clothing of the nurses, and you see just the hairstyles of the men involved, and you just see how everything looks. It does not look like this is set in the future. This looks like, more or less, it's actually back in the Vietnam era. So it is entirely possible that they are setting us up for something. What we're being set up for, I cannot possibly say. I don't think any of us can really say, but what I think is going to end up happening here, if I had to throw a guess out, which keep in mind, every time a new video comes out of me, there's a brand new guess, because whatever I think is right is usually proven wrong by the next time a Snapchat or anything gets released. But I think it's entirely possible that somebody has some crazy side effects from this, and we're going to be learning more about these characters, because obviously this is all past tense. I have a feeling everything that we're learning in these Snapchats is actually going to be an event that happens in Black Ops 3, but a past tense event, which is going to, of course, set up a bunch of other things in the future. Now, what exactly is going to be happening, again, I really don't know, but in my own personal opinion, just from listening to this, as somebody that's making videos of this every time something comes out, as somebody that's listened to all of these Snapchats each over a dozen times each, it really sounds like this Dr. Salem guy is actually trying to do a good thing. Perhaps he isn't a bad guy. It sounds like he's actually doing a very experimental experiment on people that I hope, anyway, are actually volunteers to try and get bad memories basically cut out of them to kind of get rid of some psychological trauma. So what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to play every single Snapchat that has been released so far in a row for you guys, and you guys can hear all of them in a row, and it definitely says a pretty good story. The story's starting to come together a little bit, and the theory I just gave you guys about Dr. Salim actually being a good guy, and they're actually performing like a voluntary experiment. They're not strapping people down. I think it's a big part. He doesn't want to strap down anybody. It's all completely voluntary. This doesn't sound like a Nazi doctor, scientist, or anything like that. It sounds like somebody who's brought in to try and help out a lot of people with post-traumatic stress disorder. That's what it really kind of sounds like. Now, going back to the Unmarked Man, going back to David Vonderhaar's tweets, I have no idea how those fit in with that same story, but of course, again, we're going to have to wait and see. If you guys have any theories about this, please let me know in the comment section below. I'll definitely be interested to read about that. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video, and if you did, please be sure to leave a rating. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.
Listen only to the sound of my voice. Let your thoughts drift. Let the bad memories fade. Let peace be upon you. Imagine somewhere calm. Imagine somewhere safe. Imagine yourself in a frozen forest. Our greatest barrier is our own fear, our own doubts. The human mind holds many mysteries. I am deeply optimistic about this project's potential. Of course, the human consciousness is fundamentally unpredictable. Similar physiology, different environmental conditioning. Following minor seizures, subjects D2 reported a brief period of impaired hearing. Similarly, D5 complained of a decreased sense of taste. Several subjects have experienced fleeting bouts of paranoia. Base fears, phobias, and even dreams contribute to a temporary overload of their conscious minds. The duration of these episodes can range anywhere from a few seconds to several hours. Subjects appear unable to distinguish the implanted memories from their own. Day 42. Only 4 of the original test subjects survive. Of the others, most died of coronary failure. 1 died later from self-inflicted events. It's clear that the majority of patients exhibit signs of mild to severe psychosis immediately following each procedure. Now, I am reluctant to resort to the use of physical restraints. I may be forced to do just that. Cognitive isn't just science fiction. It will allow us to remove specific memories of severe psychological trauma